Hey, I'm Ben.
And I'm Teresa.
Today we're going to show you how to make bags out of reclaimed materials.
And you can snag one of these great bags on our Indiegogo campaign, which you'll find at this link. And if the campaign's over and we have any bags left over, then you'll be able to get them on our Etsy shop. We're making our bags entirely out of upcycled materials. So for example, we're using old sails for the main part of the bag. We're using canvas that's offcuttings from a canvas shop, materials that would otherwise be discarded. The other things that we need is some thread, webbing for the handles, a ruler, a pencil, scissors, obviously. We're using staples to connect our fabric together instead of straight pins, but that's pretty much all you need, and a sewing machine.
All right, we've got a great section of sail here that's got lots of stitching in it. And we're going to use this as the top edge of the sail. So this is already hemmed over, really nice. We don't have to do as much work. So let's figure out how big we need this panel to be. Well, this is 14 inches tall. I think we're going to make one a little shorter. We're going to make it about 11 inches tall. But we'll need an extra inch for seam allowance, so we'll go to 12 inches. Take a piece of the sail that I like, right to 12 inches there. The width of this bag is just about 18 inches, well, 17 inches. And again, we're gonna add 1 inch for seam allowance to get to 18 inches. Make a mark right there. Now we're gonna connect our two. This is a great ruler because you can line up the lines on the inside to make sure you're getting a straight line. That's the one side, and now we're gonna duplicate that and make just another one for the other side. Now we've got our two pieces, two halves. Ooh, there's lots of fabric here. Remember not to push while you're cutting. Two halves, make a hole.
So now we have to cut the piece of canvas for the bottom. One thing I wanted to mention is that the corners of sails tend to be multi-layered, so they're very reinforced. You have to have a heavy-duty sewing machine to be able to sew through all that. So keep that in mind when you're choosing the material that you're gonna use. Now we're gonna cut the colored fabric for the base of the bag. Benji decided to make the sail part a little bit shorter because I thought it'd look nice to have the base a little bit taller. And all you need to do is make sure that the width of your base is equal to the width of the side panels that you've cut. So we're gonna make cut the base to be 18 inches wide. And then as far as the height goes, if you look at this one, the height of this bag, for example, is 10 inches. It's 2 times 5, because of the front and the back. So I wanted, again, to make this one a little bit taller, so I'm gonna go 12 inches. Plus you gotta add a seam allowance, so that makes it 13 inches. Now we have our front panel, our back panel, and our base cut, and this one has a pocket here, so I like that. I'm gonna cut a pocket. Pocket's real easy to cut. You just look at your panel and you kind of estimate. I want my pocket about that big. So cut out a square, and remember you need to add about an inch for a hem.
Good evening, and welcome to the next step in the bag making series. We're going to be looking at the finished edges. This has a lovely finished edge on the top because it is the luff rope from the sail. So that's great. If you notice here that we've used a zipper as the top finished edge. So we're using elements that are in the sail already to be our finished edges, which is a great idea if you can. But if you can't, for instance, in this pocket here, you notice that we've done a little stitch here. We've done a hem. And that's what we're gonna need to do on this pocket that we've cut out because there is no finished edge. To make the hem, what we're gonna do is roll this over an inch. So to do that, I'm gonna use my handy dandy ruler. So I'm gonna fold this down over the line, to the line, and then crease it with either your fingernail or any device that you find suitable. When sewing the hem, you can use either a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch. This time I'm gonna use a zigzag stitch. First thing I'm gonna do is back stitch a little bit. Ooh, back stitch. Oh yeah, it's ready. Oh, press your foot down. Great. This is my first time ever zigzag stitching. Ready? Whoa, crikeys. This thing goes always, whoa, that didn't go well. Okay, don't stick your fingers in there. Whoa, I'm a little off kilter here. Whoa, racing speed. And this is why they don't let me sew.
The next thing we're gonna do is stitch the webbing onto the bag. You're gonna need 2 pieces of equal length webbing, and I'll show you how to get that length. You're gonna need your pocket and the front and the back. So we'll start with the front side and the pocket. So you want to find the middle of your bag. You can just fold it in half, and now there's the middle of my bag, that little crease. And then you want to find the middle of your pocket. Same thing, just fold it in half, put a little crease there. In the middle of it, you want to line up with the middle bottom of your bag as well. If you're new to sewing and you're worried about things shifting, you should definitely staple or pin your material together. I'm just gonna put one staple in here to kind of hold it in place right in the center. And you want your webbing to cover up the edges of your pocket. So run the webbing along there, and that's how long I want my webbing. But since I have two handles and I want them to be the exact same length, that's where I'm gonna fold and cut the webbing there. So to make them exactly the same length, you just keep it folded in half and you just cut there. Connecting the webbing to the bag, you line it up right to the edge, and you want it to cover the edge of your pocket. And you staple it on. Now I've placed my staples in the middle because I'm gonna sew on the edge of the webbing. It's always easiest to put your staples in a place that you're not gonna sew over, because you don't want to sew over a staple or a pin because you could break the needle on your machine. So now I've got the handles stapled here, and we want the handle on the opposite side to be the same width. And I'm going to line up the two bottoms, and then I'm going to put my webbing at the same width again and stapling it on. That way our handles will be the same width apart. And now we sew. Always remember to reverse a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew up one side of the handle, across the top, and down the other side of the handle, back tacking on either end. When you get to the end, bury the needle, lift your presser foot, turn it 90 degrees, and then again bury the needle, lift your presser foot. I'm using the edge of the inside part of my presser foot as a guide. And then always trim your threads really short. When you finish sewing your handles on, obviously remove the staples. So now we need to connect the bottom of the bag to our sides. So you want to choose the bottom of your bag that's going to be the outside and the inside. My piece of fabric is the same on both sides. There's no markings or stains or anything like that, so it doesn't matter. But if you have a side that is better, that's the outside of your bag. So you put the two good sides together. You're going to sew it inside out. So this is the outside of my bag. I'm going to put the two good sides together. Line them up perfectly. And then you're just going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. If you need to pin this, pin it. Keep making sure that your materials are lined up. So now we've sewed one side onto the base, and if you look here, when you open it up, it kind of creates this bubble there. So you want to crease open the seam like this. So we're gonna do a top stitch, and that's gonna sew that down into the seam like that. And you wanna make sure that it doesn't flip like that. You always wanna be sewing onto there for your top stitch. And now for the next side, you're gonna do the same thing with your other panel. Put the right sides together. So you're gonna flip it like that. Line up your edges. Staple it or pin it if you need to. Got a piece of tape here to help me guide my 1 inch seam allowance. You can see how nicely the top stitch side lays flat and this side kind of puffs up. So again, we're gonna top stitch this second side. So this is what your bag looks like so far. Connecting the base also close the bottom of the pocket up. So So now you want to take your good sides and bring them together like this and line up the top of your bag. Okay? Line up the edges and you're gonna staple just on the white part. And remember to staple in a place where you're not gonna sew, like a little bit further in of your seam allowance, so you don't sew over your staples or your pins. If you look at this bag, it has a nice rectangular shape. You're gonna make this fold next. You wanna find the middle of your base panel. Just put a little crease there, just in the edge, so you know where the middle is. I'm gonna do that on both sides. So now I know where the middle is. I'm gonna grab my middles and bring them up to where the top of the colored panel is. Just like that. See that? This is where you kind of finagle it a little bit because you kind of want your creases to be even. You kind of want the two loops to be the same. And then you can put a staple in that. And I even take my scissors and crease it a little more. Especially if you have stiff fabric like this, it's really helpful to have a nice crease there. It's gonna make the corners of your bag. Now all we're gonna do is just sew up the edges and sew right over that butterfly fold. Almost done. Just remove the staples or straight pins. Okay, so when we turn our bag right side out, this is a really stiff bag because the sail part that we used had a lot of layers. When you turn it right side out, you want to push out the seams, the side seams. What I'm doing here is I'm pushing out the corners so it's like an even, nice triangle there. And there it is. It's a nice bag. It's got a pocket. I like the color. I like the color a lot, and I like how the back has all these crisscross patterns. So that's how you make a tote bag out of reclaimed sail materials. And if you're not interested in making one, luckily we've made a whole bunch of them, and you can snag one of these great bags on our Indiegogo campaign, which you'll find at this link. And if the campaign's over and we have any bags left over, then you'll be able to get them on our Etsy shop. So good luck making your bag. Have a great time.